What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and on today's video I'm going to talk about my wonderful custom LSL guitar. This is the XT4DX model in the wonderful Dime Slime finish, and it pretty well checks every box that I would ever have to check off when I'm looking to spec out a modern guitar for anything that's not kind of Dimebag or Pantera related, you know, despite the finish being an obvious nod to Dimebag, right? 24 frets, has a wicked neck, and it has a set of really killer pickups. It has an awesome access heel, so I can get up to the 24th fret with no issues or anything like that. Stainless steel frets, all the different pickup combinations you could ever want, and it has a tremolo. The thing is with a tremolo is that sometimes it can hinder the versatility of your guitar. As we all know, sometimes when we want to tune the guitar differently, the tremolo is going to go all out of whack. Whether you're tuning one string or many strings, the tremolo is going to do a couple different things because it is then going into a mode or a kind of a zone that it's not really set up for, which is then going to make the guitar not play as great as it did when it was set up for the actual tuning. So what we're going to do is install one of these things. This is called a Tremol-No. So essentially it's going to block off the tremolo and also give us the option to use the tremolo depending on what mode it is in the back here. I've installed these on a few guitars already and they're pretty awesome, and I wanted to do it on mine for a while because I essentially want to use this guitar for a few different tunings, whether it's like D standard, drop C, or even taking the lowest string all the way down to like G or A to do like some crazy things, or even messing with some open tunings as well, but not having to worry about retuning and resetting up the bridge because that obviously takes a ton of time. So I kind of want to maximize the versatility of this guitar even though it has a tremolo, and there's many ways that you can do that, and the Tremol-No is the way I'm going to show you how to do it. It's very easy, no drilling or anything like that, super easy. So sit back, relax, and let's get this thing in and make your guitar that has a tremolo way more versatile. Alright, the guitar's on the bench and we're basically in my kitchen, but that's not important. But the most important thing is the first part about this whole process of installing a Tremol-No. First thing you want to do of installing your Tremol-No, regardless of what kind of tremolo it's on, you want to loosen the strings off and get them all nice and loose. You don't have to take them off or anything. This is a really simple procedure that doesn't require you to remove the guitar strings at all. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have a piece of cardboard or something under the tremolo as well. You want to have that between the body and the bridge just so the bridge does not damage the finish or the body in any way, shape, or form. Alright, so next up, after the strings are loose, what you want to do is flip the guitar over, and then you're going to be dealing with the back claw here. So what you want to do is then take the claw out. Something I like to do as well when I'm installing these parts, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of painter's tape and I'm going to tape off where the claw is, so then I don't have to do any guesswork to figure out where it is when I'm going back to set up this guitar. When you take apart the claw, what you want to do is go a little bit at a time on either side. So there's just 4 back screws there. You kind of want to work the bridge out evenly, not taking one side out and then dealing with the other side as well. The springs, they can kind of come out whenever. You can do it now or you can do it after. It doesn't really matter, but they will have to come off at some point. Another thing too, you're also going to have to deal with the ground wire here that's coming from the control cavity all the way back here. It is grounded to the bridge here. Well, technically it's grounded to the claw, which is then connected to the bridge through the tremolo springs and all that. So you will have to remove this ground wire, whether you desolder or whether you cut it. That will have to come off as well because it'll have to get attached to the new claw. Alright, so here we have the Tremol-No. Let's unbox it and see what we're working with here. Alright, so when you get your Tremol-No out of the box, you're going to see the actual Tremol-No itself. They have different versions. This one is made for guitars that are strictly like for a Floyd Rose, just because of the end pin here. You get different end pins based on the model that you have. But even though this one still has the pin here, it's still going to sit where the springs are going to normally sit in the tremolo on the back here. Even though this is a hip shot tremolo here and it's a little bit different than a regular Floyd Rose, I'm sure it's just going to work just fine. I've seen a lot of guys use these ones on multiple different bridges, so if you have one of these, I'm pretty sure it's going to work. In here, you're going to get a couple different thumb screws as well in case these ones break or get lost, which I'm sure they would not. And then you have 2 Allen wrenches just to adjust the Tremol-No. You have one to adjust this part right here. This is the ground screw. This is where your ground wire is going to get screwed onto. You can solder it if you want, but they also have this in here where you just put the Allen wrench in, unscrew it, and put your ground wire right to that. Very easy, very simple. And then the other one here is going to adjust how tight you have the pin sitting in the back of the block as well. So very easy. There's not much to it, so sit back, relax, and let's get this thing on. Something I want to mention real quick right here, you have these 2 Allen screws right here. This is to actually lock the Tremol-No in place with the screws. So this is really sick as well. So So you can go in and adjust it, lock them down, and it's actually going to keep the bridge, the tailpiece, in the spot that you actually want it to be in, so it's not going to move with string changes or anything like that. Very, very thoughtful. As you can see, I'm pulling on it. This is not going anywhere. It locks the screws where they should be. I have this lined up with my tape as best as I can. So essentially, this is not going to move no matter what. And you don't have to go too hard with these. I'm just getting them sort of snug, and that's kind of all you need to do. So here's my ground wire. That's what you need to ground the entire guitar down and ground the strings. What you're going to do is put the wire behind the screw here and just screw it in with the Allen wrench there. Very simple. If you're having a hard time with that, something you can do is actually use the spring and clip it onto one of the anchors right here. You got to make sure that all the metal is touching. That's how you're going to ensure full contact, and so the entire guitar is grounded. Otherwise, if the spring is touching maybe the shielded part, you're not going to get any contact, and therefore you're not going to be able to ground the guitar properly. Alright, now if you made it this far in the video, it goes without saying we have to thank today's sponsor of the video, which is my good friends at The String Source. They are my preferred choice of string. And a few reasons why I use String Source guitar strings on my personal guitars is because A, they sound amazing, B, they last a really long time, C, the company is ran by amazing people and they're very great people to work with and they really stand behind their product, and D, they are optimized string tension. And optimized string tension essentially means that every string in this pack of strings is going to be optimized for the perfect feel across the guitar neck. So every string is going to have the same amount of tension for that specific note that you're tuning your guitar to. Another cool thing is that on the back of these packs of String Source guitar strings, you can find out what tuning is going to yield you a certain kind of tension. So in this case, this emerald green set with 11 to 54 gauge strings is going to give me a medium feel or medium tension in D standard, which I find is perfect for my guitars in D standard with a 25.5-inch scale. And on the String Source website, you can go and plug in your own tunings and your scale length and the amount of strings that you have. And using a little thing called Math and Science, it will actually tell you which strings are recommended and going to give you the best feel for your guitar in that particular tuning for your particular scale length. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stick to it. You can also order custom gauges as well, depending on whatever your certain needs are. When you play a guitar with optimized string tension or the exact same string tension across every string, you're going to notice that you sound and you feel and you even play better because the guitar is just that much easier to play. And that's what it's all about, making the guitar an easier time to play. So click the link in the description below where you can learn a little bit more about String Source guitar strings and why I use them. And you can also receive 10% off your next order with the String Source using the code MRTNTSS, and that'll give you 10% off your next order with the String Source. Once again, MRTNTSS, and use that at checkout to receive 10% off your next order with the String Source. Go ahead, take my word from it, get these strings, do yourself a favor, make yourself a better guitar player with these strings. Alrighty, now here we have the Tremolo-No installed into my LSL guitar here. This is what it looks like installed on the back of the guitar, with the strings on the guitar and everything. And yeah, I'm gonna go through a couple of the different modes that this thing offers, and that'll kind of be it. But before we do that, I want to give you my honest thoughts and opinions of just dealing with it and the install and everything, and just the things I've learned. And I'm going to throw some close-ups on screen and everything like that, just so you can see what parts I'm specifically talking about. So specifically, one thing that I've noticed is that you don't have to crank on these parts like really hard so that they lock in. You really want to just have them kind of finger tight for the most part, not super loose, but once they're snug and you can feel like they're actually holding on, like once you can feel like the back part is holding on to the block of the tremolo, and it's not going to go anywhere, and that's kind of like where the sweet spot is. And same with when you lock down the actual like claw screws that go into the body, the top here with the Allen wrench. Once you get those things just snug, that's where you want them. You don't want them any tighter because obviously that might cause issues down the road as well. Otherwise, the last thing that I really want to cover and really want to make clear is that when you're using the adjustment screws, I really find you got to really like crank down on them just so they really lock. I was having a few issues of a little bit of slippage, but that obviously just comes from having to like just tighten those screws on the back a little bit harder, and that's about it. So things to keep in mind when you install this on your guitar. One final thing that I forgot to mention was when you are installing these on a block that is like this guitar here, or like a Fender where you feed the strings through, you might run into a little bit of trouble feeding the strings through here. The ball end might get caught depending where the Tremolo is sitting. You can see up close here that the entrance for the ball end of the string might get caught down there, so you might have to spin the ball end around. It might be a little annoying when you're restringing a guitar, but it's not the end of the world. That's just kind of a first world problem that I'm gonna let you guys know about. Alright, so now what you're gonna hear is how the whole thing works, and you're gonna kind of see how it all works. This is the fully locked mode, so all the screws on the back of the guitar are fully locked down, and there's gonna be no movement of the tremolo at all, which you're gonna see. That might not look like much on camera, but I am moving it and I can feel like the actual tremolo is not moving at all. So it is doing its job properly. So at that point you can then tune any string on the guitar and the rest of the guitar will still be in tune. So let's try it and see what happens. It's doing its job, and I think that's the winner at the end of the day. The ways you're going to make the Tremolo get out of the different modes is just using the following method here. So when you have all three of these screws locked down here, that's going to be fully locked. The bridge is going to act like a hardtail bridge, as you just saw. Nothing's going to be moving. If you take these two screws here, the bottom two ones here, and you loosen those, then that's when you're going to actually have the Floyd Rose, or whatever Tremolo you have, back to like its fully operational state here. And that's kind of it. And let's just check it. And that's kind of it. It's real simple, really straightforward, really easy install, and if you're thinking about getting one of these for your guitar that has a tremolo, I definitely recommend it. It's a very easy way to make your guitar a little bit more versatile than what you might think it is already set up for. And that kind of does it for today's video. Thanks for checking it out. It's a quick walkthrough on how to install a Tremol-No pin type tremolo blocking system onto your guitar that has a tremolo system, whether it's a Floyd, a hip shot like this, or Fender style, or PRS style, anything like that, it's gonna probably work. Let me know in the comments what you think about tremolo guitars and the Tremol-No. Do you like guitars that have tremolos like Floyd's and all that stuff, or do you want to just have hardtails for everything and never deal with things like this as well? Thanks for checking this out. Consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and once again, big thank you to the String Source who are sponsoring this video by providing the strings for this guitar today. Go ahead and use the code in the video description below. That's MRTNTSS for 10% off your next string and pick order from the String Source. Once again, I can't recommend it enough. Go get yourself a set of strings from the String Source and you'll see why I've been using them on my guitars for such a long time. Thanks for checking this video out, and I will see you next time.